Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back into another edition of Keytime Sports. Please like, comment, share, subscribe to Keytime Sports right here on YouTube, Key City Sports on Instagram, and the Keyonmillions.co. The Keyonmillions.co. Here is my profile. Here's my profile. Here is my media feed. We just recently did an interview with football phenom Carson Green. Here is my merchandise shop and where you can go and purchase some keys to the road apparel on Millions. You can create you an account on millions.co. Go to my platform, The Key, go to my merchandise store, and you can purchase you keys to the road apparel. And by the way, this is our brand new logo, part of our rebrand. And we've got a game to talk about that happened last night. Well, it wasn't a game, but it was pretty much a blowout, and the Pistons, they did not have a chance. So what I'm going to do, I am not going to stay on this game too long. I'm just going to go over some of the parts that stuck out to me, and then after that I am going to go on to the Western Conference Finals matchup that we have tonight, and that is a very, very big game for tonight. That starts game 1 of the series, but I want to talk about this series. So the Cavaliers and the Pistons, I did not see this series going to a game 7, but it did. And with the Cavaliers, the three of their starting five, they had good games. You had Donovan Mitchell with 26, Jared Allen with 23, Evan Mobley 21, James Harden, he didn't have a good game, but that's exactly how his career has been in game 7s. He hasn't been able to play up to par in game 7, but courtesy of Donovan Mitchell, Allen, and Mobley, James Harden was able to win it last night. He had 9 points in 36 minutes, which is bad. The bench production for the Cleveland Cavaliers, Sam Morrell, he had 23, and that was basically the cherry on top for the Cavaliers. As far as the Pistons, now reportedly people in the Pistons organization a week and a half ago said that the Pistons getting out of the first round was a successful season. So nobody, and I do mean nobody, including me, we didn't expect the Pistons to get this far. But what can they do going into next season to get back into this same situation, but take the next step? Now, 2 years ago, Detroit Pistons was the worst team in the league. Last year, they made it to the playoffs. This year, they made it further into the playoffs. They got further this year than they had been in the past 17 years. So Detroit Pistons, even though that they are the third youngest team in the NBA, they have a lot of teams that they are going to have to face when the season starts up again. You got Indiana, you got Orlando, Cleveland, the team that you just lost to, Toronto. You have Boston, Philadelphia. You also have Atlanta. So there's about 5 or 6 teams that I just named that could give the Pistons some problems. But the Pistons, they got to get a second and third score for Cade Cunningham, because as you all can see, Cade Cunningham last night, he struggled. He was 5 of 16, 13 points. Dennis Jenkins, he had 17 points, and everybody else had 5, 7. You had Duncan Robinson. He had an okay game of 13 points. And then everybody else outside of Caris LeVert had their scoring was in single digits. So the Pistons defense is okay. But here's one thing that I want everybody. Can we just come to grips when it comes to Jalen Duren? And I wanted to say this for the last week and a half, but I wanted to wait until the series was over with. Jalen Duren, he may not be an offensive scorer. He may just be a defensive specialist, kind of like Josh Hart. Now we all know that Josh Hart, he does have times where he can score 20 to 25 points, but Jalen Duren, I see him as a player now. He's strictly out there for his defense. That's what I see. Jalen Duren from previous years, like last year, we knew Jalen Duren, he would average 15, 20 points. But this season, either he's taken a step back or the players the matchups that he had encountered throughout the season, everybody know how he likes to play. And what he likes to do as far as going through the motions when it comes to him playing basketball. So either that's what I took away from Jalen Duren's inefficiency in this series. Sometimes he probably wants to be a defensive specialist, and other times he may want to be a scorer. But if the Pistons, if they get Cade Cunningham 2 more scores and they let Jalen Duren become a defensive specialist, also with having Azur Thompson on the floor, then you can just have Jalen Duren focus on defense. Because Jalen Duren had 2 blocks last night. He had 7 defensive rebounds. And I believe that's where his playing style best fits as far as a defensive specialist like Josh Hart. And then he could score. He can score at times, but you don't want to be dependent on Jalen Duren night in, night out, game in and game out, because we've seen that throughout this season where Jalen Duren sometimes he is able to put up, and then other times he's just non-existent, shows no value on the offensive side. So that's something that the Detroit Pistons, once they going into the offseason, that's something that they need to think about. Should Jalen Duren be an offensive guy or a defensive specialist? So all throughout that's what I saw throughout this series. And we got the Cavaliers and the New York Knicks in the Eastern Conference Finals, which starts tomorrow night. For the last few minutes of this game, I'm not going to show any highlights because there is no need to. This was a foregone conclusion. As you all can see, Pistons, they shot 35% from the floor last night. Pistons made more threes than the Cavaliers, but the Cavaliers, they made more shots in the paint and they had more paint points. They had 58 points in the paint. If the Cavaliers had 58 points in the paint, Pistons had 34 points. Largest lead of this game was 35, and the largest lead of this game for the Pistons was 1. So, Pistons, since this season is over with, last season and this season, you've had playoff success. Going into next season, let's see if the Pistons can take that next step and make the Eastern Conference Finals or make it to the NBA Finals. And with that, those are my reactions to The Cleveland Cavaliers and the Detroit Pistons Game 7 Eastern Conference Semifinals Game 7 last night. So, Cavaliers and the New York Knicks start the Eastern Conference Finals tomorrow night. Please like, comment, share, subscribe to Keytime Sports right here on YouTube, Key City Sports on Instagram, and the keyonmillions.co. Here is my merchandise. You can create you an millions.co account. Go to my profile, the key, go to my merchandise store, and you can purchase you some keys to the road apparel. Here is our brand new logo, part of our rebrand. Here is my media feed for all of my different clips, sound bites, and previous interviews. We just did an interview Friday with Carson Green. So you can see the interview in its entirety on all social media platforms, and you can see clips of it on all social media platforms as well. And remember, everybody, one last thing, the key is always on time.